Hello, hello, hello. Today we are going to take a look at Darktable 4.2.0, which came out in late December 2022, and it has some really great new features that help us to more easily deal with photos that are partially overexposed or completely overexposed. Like for instance, this photo here, I edited that in Darktable 4.0, the previous version, and you can see that around the overexposed part of the picture, there's these edges here that have this blue turquoise tint, and then even a ring here that's sort of magenta tinted. And there were ways to get a hold of that, to get that under control a little bit in Darktable 4.0. I can show you how I used to do it, but it was really not ideal. Like you could go to Filmic RGB and then to reconstruct, and if you enable highlight reconstruction here, you can set the gray and colorful details to 0 or perhaps even negative. And then if you play with the threshold, you see that depending on where you set it, there's going to be more or less discoloration around the overexposed area, but it's obviously not ideal. Now in Darktable 4.2 there are ways to do this much better, because we can get the picture like this, and the difference is night and day if you ask me. And that's due to a new module that has been introduced, and new methods for highlight reconstruction, and we're going to look at those first. So this is the old picture and we're going to go to the new one, and I'm going to reset it, and we're going to do a fresh edit just to see how this is going to turn out. So at first I'm going to apply my awesome preps, which is basically just a couple of modules here. I'm going to do some local contrast, some hot pixels, and a little bit of subtle denoising, which I do on all my pictures. Now the next step is, let's take a look at highlight reconstruction. You're going to see that the method here is now called in-paint opposed, whereas in previous versions that wasn't available. We had reconstruct and LCH, or we had, I think, reconstruct colors, which is now gone, and then there's segmentation based, which is another new method. It has 3 sliders: the clipping, threshold, combine, and candidating, which actually doesn't mean you should be honest to your lover, although it doesn't hurt. It has to do with candidates. I'm not really sure what exactly these do just from reading the descriptions, but if you just play around with the sliders, you'll see that there's going to be effects, and depending on the photo you have open, these may or may not do something for you. Now for this particular photo, actually I'm going to leave it on the new default, which is in-paint opposed, which also delivers some really neat results. Now we are going to move on to color calibration, which is a staple of any workflow. I learned that from Bruce Williams, whose videos, by the way, I really highly recommend for Darktable. They're great. Now, if you use the eyedropper, it's going to sample the whole picture and look for what's supposed to be gray in this photo, and then adapt the rest of the colors accordingly. But since we have part of the window here with the outside temperature being much different than what's inside the room, it doesn't exactly get it right. So I'm just gonna put this here and say, and define this wall as gray, and you'll see that automatically the rest of the colors follow suit, and it looks pretty nice. But we can already see that there's this halo forming around the edges of the overexposed area, which is what we want to get rid of. So the next thing is to just completely dismiss the Filmic RGB module, and we can immediately see, wow, it's gone, or well, at least it's better, but it's not ideal. By the way, just to really quickly go back to the Filmic RGB module once, there used to be here an option just to go to the options in Filmic RGB and the preserve chrominance. If we set this to luminance Y, this already gets better, right? That's kind of nice to know if you want to keep the Filmic RGB module. You can get better colors with this. But yeah, let's just stitch it all together, and we go to the tone group. You'll see this if you set modules to all, and we're going to activate the Sigmoid module, and immediately we get these really wonderful smooth transitions from the overexposed areas to the better exposed areas of the picture. And now all we really need to do is play a little bit with contrast if we want. You can see that on Matthias' face here. it getting a little better, and then you can just bring back some of the black that's out of range, and you can also bring back some of the white that's out of range. You can see it up here in the histogram, and that's pretty much it. I mean, just using the Sigmoid module instead of Filmic RGB and using the highlight reconstruction new method in Paint Opposed, or if you want to play around the segmentation base, is going to give you much better results than you used to have for overexposed pictures. The whole discoloration thing seems to be a thing of the past. You get more natural colors and much better balance of colors as well. I really like that effect, and from here you could just move on to the color balance RGB module, slap a little extra saturation in there, perhaps play with the brilliance, add some shadows or something like that. But that's it. That's really all I wanted to show you. One thing I should point out, and I didn't know this, I recorded a previous version of this video and put it up yesterday, and then a commenter mentioned to me that the Sigmoid module is not supposed to be used together with the Filmic RGB module. So this is an either or thing. There could be conflicts here. I'm not enough of a photo retouching scientist to really understand this, but if you go to the website of Darktable and you look at the user manual entry for the Sigmoid module, which is here, you can see that they say it right here. Never use Sigmoid together with any other display transform module. Now, that's it. So, well, thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps a little and gives you some new tools, tweaks, tricks to deal with overexposed images. If you like what you saw, please don't subscribe, actually, because I heard the other day that if you subscribe, kittens die, and that's kind of uncool. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't know. I mean, I might have been misinformed though, but yeah, better to not subscribe. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye. See ya.